you think Kyrie's going to be able to keep it together and be a real factor in this series throughout?
I actually do think he'll be able to keep it together and be a real factor in this series. I think that whether we believe him or not doesn't really matter. And I tend to sort of side with Jim. I think it's a lot of the same Kyrie pseudo-intellectual psychobabble that we got here. But the reality is I do think he's in a better place mentally. And he's on a better team. And I think this also has to do with the fact that he has Luka. I don't think it's a coincidence that the 2 times in his career he's played his best and at least momentarily been content. Because we know this could be fleeting with Kyrie. Momentarily been content. He's had LeBron James and Luka, who are 2 really unique talents in the game, but also 2 guys who are basketball geniuses. And I think that Kyrie actually can appreciate that and listen to those guys and stay in line a little bit. That's the one thing, the one sort of traditional aspect of authority I think he respects is the basketball genius. And he says, oh, okay, here's somebody who's actually even, not only on my level, but maybe a little bit above my level, at least for now. And then he'll probably get tired of Luka the same way he got tired of LeBron.
But for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you think he can keep it together, Chris? You do, huh?
I do. I think he can keep it together. I think really the question is more on the other end with Celtics Nation here. Can they sort of keep it together when being confronted with this guy who, on a lot of levels, rightfully so, they have some ill will towards. I mean, he was not forthcoming or honest, and he walked out the door on them. Now, look, that's sports. I get it. But at the same time, there's a feeling of abandonment there. And his era in Celtics basketball was wildly disappointing. And frankly, he didn't take a lot of responsibility for that. Even going to the last year he was here. The whole I don't really care about the regular season. We'll be fine. Why? Because I'm here. But then against Milwaukee, it's like, well, you're not shooting that. What are you talking about? What do you mean you're not shooting well? I'm going to make you do the math and tell me how well I'm not shooting. So he didn't. I think that's where a lot of the resentment is. He didn't really take a lot of responsibility for his role in what was a very disappointing era in Celtics basketball. But I think he'll keep it together. I just hope everybody here keeps it together and we can just enjoy the finals with some good old-fashioned sports hate and nothing more than that.
I'm with you on that. And, you hope that people behave. Is it in the best interest, Chris, of the Celtics organization to proactively prepare guys that did play with him here, Tatum, Brown, Horford, anyone else, about questions about him so they have stock answers just ready to go so this doesn't become an issue?
Yeah. I would maybe do a little media training on that. I think that would be the one time where I would endorse sort of taking a Patriots tack with that thing and saying, that's in the past. Nothing that happened with that is going to determine the outcome of this series. You can even say nice things about him, too. Look, Kyrie is friends with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. He's been, I think, a mentor to both of them. Brown maybe more off the court. Tatum maybe more on the court in terms of things that those guys look at and look up to. But you can say a few nice things about him. But, yeah, you definitely don't want to get into... You don't want to get sucked into that narrative vortex if you're the Celtics. You don't want to get into a situation where it sounds like you're defending him and chastising your own fans or telling your own fans what they can't do, even though we all agree there are certain things they shouldn't do. But that's such a no-win for those guys and the organization.
Chris, is Dallas a legit opponent?
Dallas is a legitimate opponent, and it's because they have Luka and Kyrie. And I'll say this, I am not 100% sold on the Celtics having completely solved all of their clutch time issues. I'm very impressed with the way they performed in clutch time, and the execution has been exquisite, and I appreciate that, and they've made strides. But what's the level of pushback? In 3 of those 4 games, the other team doesn't have anybody that can really answer you in the clutch going down the stretch. And in the 4th one, you have Tyrese Halliburton dribbling the ball off his shoe. There were a lot of self-inflicted wounds. So I think getting into a clutch time game with Luka and Kyrie is a little bit different, because to me, the biggest advantage the Celtics have had in the clutch, particularly when I look at game 4 of the Indiana series and their ability to clinch that down the stretch, the final 15 points the Celtics score after they're down 8, 9 of them are scored by Tatum or Brown. 12 of them were scored or assisted by, what the other 3 were, because they won the series on Brown's assist. And then the final 3 came from Drew Holiday. So your guys, rightfully so, dominated in the stretch, and the other team didn't really have an answer. This team, Dallas, they have an answer. They can match you with Luka and Kyrie. So I think ultimately, where this series will be decided and won, because I think the stars will kind of cross each other out, is who's that third person. For the Celtics, it's been Holiday, and I think he's a much better option as a third person than anything Dallas has in sort of that hierarchy of stars. PJ Washington has been good in these playoffs, but Holiday's better. If Porzingis is healthy, he's better. I think Derek White is better. So I think when you get past the top two, that's where the Celtics' real advantage is.
Do you buy Dallas as a defensive team now?
I buy that they're a better defensive team. Do I buy that that's their identity? No, I don't. But I buy that they're good enough with Washington, Gafford, and Lively, and they're getting enough effort from Luka and Kyrie that they can cover up enough of their mistakes defensively. They have enough guys who can erase mistakes defensively, and they're getting enough effort from Kyrie and Luka where it's not just a complete red carpet to the rim or any shot that you want. There's, I would say, resistance. Are they a great defensive team? No. But are they a team defensively that offers legitimate resistance? Yeah. They are.
See, I mean, in that way, the Celtics fourth quarter stuff is going to get tested against Dallas. Dallas's defense is going to get tested against the Celtics. This isn't freaking Karl Anthony Towns.
No, exactly.
Playing with his head up his ass.
What I'm asking. Games. Yeah.
Yeah. No, again, he sucked for the majority of that series, and he was soft. So it was really like 1.5 players on Minnesota that they had to worry about. Minnesota offensively is a long way to go.
And Edwards did not have a good series.
He didn't.
So it's like, I don't think there's any comparison in terms of the firepower.
No, there isn't. There isn't. So it's fair to say, I think, that Dallas will be stretched the way that the Celtics will in the final 3 minutes if the games are close. To me, that's probably going to be the series. Which team can cover up its weaknesses better than the other one?
Do they need Porzingis, Chris?
Do they need Porzingis to win the series? Ultimately, I think yes, because of Dallas's size, just because I think it'll be tough for Horford to combat both Lively and Gafford, and Maxi Kleber's back as well. So when you're looking from that, just to take some of the onus off of Horford, I think that they need him available as a body. Do they need 20 point per game Porzingis, or the guy who had a great game against the Mavericks in the second meeting of these two teams where Dallas had no answer for him? No, I don't think they need him to play at that level to win the series. But do they need his minutes? Do they need his contributions? Do they need his body out there just as a big? Yes, they do.
If you like that clip, check out more videos from Felger Mazz here. For more Celtics analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.